Let's further immerse ourselves in this historical narrative. The November winds of 1620 carried more than just the chill of approaching winter. They bore the hopes and dreams of a group of courageous souls aboard the Mayflower. As the ship landed at Plymouth, Massachusetts, these intrepid travelers disembarked onto unknown shores, driven by religious convictions that set them apart as the first Puritans on American soil. Firmly grounded in their faith, they sought a new land where they could practice their beliefs according to their strict interpretation. Fast forward to the bleak winter of 1691 to 1692, where the echoes of those early beliefs still reverberated through the community. The once unexplored territories were now bustling with life. A burgeoning society that had spread beyond the confines of the Mayflower's passengers. The settlers had multiplied, establishing their homes and lives on lands that were far from vacant. For Native Americans had called this place home for generations. These indigenous inhabitants had observed the colonists over decades, their initial curiosity evolving into a deep understanding of the newcomers' true intentions. Over 70 years since the first Thanksgiving, the Native Americans had experienced a stark reality: the colonists were not the allies they once seemed. With memories of the violent clashes of King Philip's War and King William's War still fresh, fear and caution prevailed. In the midst of these tensions, across the Atlantic, England was undergoing a revolution of its own. The Glorious Revolution had changed the monarchy, bringing King William III and Queen Mary II to power, a transformation that rippled across the Atlantic to influence the governance of the colonies. The new governance and changes in power dynamics left the colonies in a state of uncertainty until a new charter could be ratified. Amidst this political upheaval, two influential voices emerged from the heart of the community: Increase Mather, a revered Puritan reverend and president of Harvard College, and his son Cotton Mather, a learned scholar and advocate of Puritan beliefs. Both were influential figures, deeply respected in the community. Their writings on witchcraft, dating back to the 17th century, added fuel to the simmering fears of the supernatural that plagued the society. Yet, to understand the Salem Witch Trials, one must delve into the very fabric of Salem's social structure. Salem Village, nestled within the larger Salem Township, was a place teeming with conflict. The residents were not at peace with their neighbors or even among themselves. Bitter disputes over land and religious practices brewed discontent, culminating in a desire for religious independence. Their religious fervor, though united under the banner of Puritanism, was divisive within Salem Village. They yearned for their own minister, separate from Salem town. However, the process of appointing one was fraught with turmoil, leaving wounds and grievances in its wake. Samuel Parris eventually became the minister, but his tenure did little to soothe the tensions. Instead of fostering unity, he stoked the fires of discord, driving a wedge deeper into the already divided community. As winter descended upon the village in early 1692, the lives of two young girls, Betty Parris and Abigail Williams, took a frightful turn. Their bewildering fits and strange behaviors sent shockwaves through the community, sparking an irrational fear that would soon consume Salem. This fear would drive the accusers to point fingers at the supposed culprits: Tituba, Sarah Good, and Sarah Osborne, launching a chain of events that would define a dark chapter in American history. Let's further unravel the grim tale of the Salem Witch Trials, plunging into the depths of fear and paranoia. The year 1692 brought Salem Village to the brink of madness, a dark dance of accusation and suspicion. Betty Parris and Abigail Williams, mere children caught in a web of puritanical strictures, unwittingly set the stage for an unfathomable tragedy. In a society where moral codes held immense power, these children found themselves at the heart of an escalating storm. As the accused stood defiant in the courtroom, March 25 marked the beginning of the trials. Sarah Good, her fate sealed by a jury predominantly composed of the accusing children's relatives, faced a chilling trial. The children, seemingly entranced and manipulated, moaned and rocked, adding an eerie aura to the proceedings. Spectral evidence, a baffling belief that witches could harm from afar in an astral form, became a cornerstone of these trials. Sarah Good's unwavering assertion of innocence fell on deaf ears. Convicted and sentenced to death, her execution was slated for July. Trapped in a prison cell, awaiting her fate, she bore a child who would never know life beyond the confines of those walls. This tragic cycle repeated itself, with young girls manipulated into making accusations against anyone they chose. The echoes of the gallows grew louder as the court of oyer interminer was established to adjudicate these grave accusations. Bridget Bishop was the first to face its judgment, accused primarily for her unconventional attire, convicted on June 2 and executed on June 10. Her death was the harbinger of a dreadful wave. A crucial turning point arrived with the execution of Reverend George Burroughs on August 19. This clergyman, who had left his ministerial role due to financial strife, faced the gallows. To the horror of the onlookers, he recited the Lord's Prayer before his untimely demise. This brave act shook the gathered crowds, raising doubts about the very essence of the trials. September saw more lives condemned, including Martha Corey, accused for challenging the credibility of the young girls. Alongside 8 others, she stood on the precipice of death. Her husband, Giles Corey, faced an unspeakable form of torture, enduring immense suffering without making a plea. His resilience, despite the torment, drew widespread condemnation, fueling the growing skepticism. In October, the winds of change began to blow. The court was finally dismissed, thanks to a shifting tide of public opinion, influenced by Sir William Phipps, the new governor, who had experienced the horrors firsthand with the loss of his wife to the trials. The Salem Witch Trials left an indelible mark on history, a reminder of the perils of fear and prejudice. With 19 lives lost and over 200 accused, the origins of this hysteria remain shrouded in mystery. Whether sparked by childish games, the potential effects of ergot poisoning, or deep-rooted resentments, the trials serve as a harrowing cautionary tale, a stark reminder of the dangers when fear takes the reins. As history has shown, the Salem Witch Trials were not an isolated incident, casting a long, haunting shadow that stretches through time and echoes in events like the McCarthyism of the 1950s. It is a somber testament to the fragility of truth and justice in the face of fear, and a plea for a future where such hysteria never gains foothold again.